Dan Bilzerian is arguably one of the most famous playboys in the world. With his luxurious lifestyle, his many girls, and his controversial opinions, he inspires his many fans and is actually a huge inspiration for many of them. But how did he actually become famous? How does he earn his money? And how does he get the many girls who are always with him? That's exactly what we're going to tell you in this video. So watch it to the end and learn everything about the world-famous king of Instagram. Dan Bilzerian claims that he won all of his money through high-stakes private poker games against millionaires and billionaires, and therefore made all his money on his own. But it is clear by now that this is all nonsense. The truth is that Dan Bilzerian is simply a trust fund baby and inherited his fortune from his father, Paul Bilzerian. Paul Bilzerian is a former corporate takeover specialist who illegally drove companies into bankruptcy and then acquired them. In 1989, he was even fined over $30 million for this. But he actually never paid, because in 1991 and 2001, he filed for private bankruptcy. Paul Bilzerian opened a trust fund for his two sons Dan and Adam Bilzerian a long time ago. The trust fund is said to have been worth $12 million in 1997 and to have grown enormously in value since then. Dan and his brother Adam finally had access to the funds from 2010 onwards, which is said to make up the absolute majority of Dan Bilzerian's fortune. Many of his critics also believe that Dan Bilzerian is laundering his father's illegally earned money through poker tournaments and other types of gambling. The fortune he eventually received through his father's trust fund is now said to be worth about $150 million. Dan Bilzerian's total net worth is currently estimated at around $250 million. Well, a lot of money makes a lot more money much easier. With Ignite, Dan Bilzerian also has his own company with which he sells electronic cigarettes, CBD oil, clothing, and many other things. And his dealings with Ignite also seem to be rather dubious. After all, Dan Bilzerian pays almost all his bills through his company. In 2002, the SEC became aware of him and sued Ignite. How this all will unfold in the end will become evident in the future. And many people often accuse him of paying the many models he spends his free time with. And yes, he does that in one way or another, but not directly with cash. After all, Dan Bilzerian allows his girls to enjoy a very luxurious lifestyle, which he pays for. Due to his extreme popularity on Instagram and other platforms, the girls get a lot of attention through the time they spend with him and can become better known more quickly and therefore earn more money as well. And Dan Bilzerian benefits by having his girls promote Ignite, and of course, by having them maintain his image as a playboy. It's a win-win situation for Dan Bilzerian and the girls who travel the world with him, having fun and producing content together. It will certainly be interesting how Dan Bilzerian's career progresses. One thing is for sure, it is never boring with him. He is the king of Instagram for a reason, and he more than does justice to this title. That's it again for today. If you liked the video, share it with your friends.